William Morrow and HarperAudio present The Prince's Bride, a novel, by Charis Michaels, performed by Morag Sims. For Michelle next door. This is how you're saved in my phone. The idea for this series came from you, but your proximity as my neighbour came from much higher up. I'm so grateful for both. Chapter 1. Savernake Forest, Wiltshire, England, August 1811. The night was pierced by a woman's scream. The sound, brief and raw, shot above the canopy and scraped down the hillside to bounce against the rock. Deep in the forest, a man slipped from his saddle and fell into the shadow of a limestone crag and listened. Gabrielle Rain knew the sounds of the forest after dark. He knew nocturnal animals. He knew cave-dwelling smugglers. He knew drunken villagers who'd lost their way home. But a woman, a screaming woman. Gabrielle's life was so deeply embedded in the trees and rocks of Savernake, he rarely, if ever, encountered others. He employed 3 men to help him with the horses and an old woman to keep camp. Beyond these, Gabrielle had very little contact with the outside world. A screaming woman was not only unexpected, it was a moral dilemma. After 10 beats, she screamed again, a shrill rip of sound that grabbed him by the throat and shoved him back. Gabrielle swore and looked at the sky. He'd waited weeks for the threat of a storm without actual rain. His new commission was a young stallion terrified of storms, and he meant to expose him bit by bit. No surprise, the horse was also unnerved by screaming. He stamped and huffed behind Gabrielle, yanking the lead. They'd been picking their way along a rocky path, acclimating to the smell of rain and the flashes of lightning. They'd not gone far, and the horse had seemed willing to press on, until the screaming. Now the stallion's ears flicked back and his nostrils flared, and he dug in, refusing to proceed. Gabrielle stepped to the horse and stroked his neck, assuring him with low words and the gentle clicking noise he used to calm frightened animals. "No!" screamed the woman in the distance. A word this time. Her inflection spoke less of a retreat and more of a request. The screaming woman was negotiating. Gabrielle's grooms had told him that the highwayman, Channing Mead, was raiding again. Mead made camp on the edge of Savernake Forest in August because the weather was mild and the deer were fat and the constable was lazy. Perhaps the screaming woman had been swiped from the village for Mead's pleasure. Perhaps she'd come willingly, only to discover that Mead was a brute and his camp was a pit. Maybe the highwayman had set upon a carriage, and the woman inside objected to being robbed at knife point. Long Harry Road was little more than 2 ruts disappearing into a tunnel of murky green, and travellers should know better. "I don't care," Gabrielle thought, stroking the horse. The forest had been a sanctuary to Gabrielle since boyhood. He'd grown up in a constant state of evasion, tracked by spies and bounty hunters and mercenaries. He knew stillness and quiet like other children knew lessons and sport. He was a champion at holding his breath. Now he was a man, and Gabrielle wasn't sure if the sanctuary was a necessity or simply a preference. He'd been here for so long, it was all he knew. The forest allowed him to owe nothing and rely on no one. His loyalties extended to his staff and his horses and no further. The work he did for clients was negotiated by an emissary. The same man provisioned his camp with supplies. The extreme seclusion had kept him alive for more than a decade. It kept everyone else alive. It was survival. As to the survival of the screaming woman, he couldn't say. Except for rare encounters with women, professionals who kept things quick and anonymous, he knew very little of female companionship. And he didn't care about this screaming stranger. "I don't want to care," he thought. The horse snorted and tossed his mane. Gabrielle made the...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?